Our number one goal for this land is to leave a better place than it was when we got here. It's our place, it's our family's place. Stewardship's a big part of it, and it is a lot of work. You'll never come to a place like this without something to do. When you see your kids out there helping you, the biggest thing you wonder is what's going to happen when I'm not here. Am I leaving them something that they're going to want to continue? That brought us to the decision to graze the Longleaf. You can't be scared of something just because you haven't done it. When most of your lessons are learned from mistakes, you might get to a point where you don't have a lot of fear of a mistake anymore. I can tell you that that's where we're at. Get up, get up.
We're gonna roll the cows back in the trap right here. Get in there, get in there.
Let's go. Come on, go. Get.
This little group of cows here is coming off of probably about 45 days. They've been grazing in here, and we're fixing to roll them into some longleaf.
How are they going to feel? Are they excited to get in the longleaf?
Absolutely ready for some fresh grass.
We started on this first patch where we're moving them now about 10 years ago, very lightly grazing it. And then we're still just continuing to do the same thing basically. Just rotate them in and out of the pastures, let them get the top off, and then we get them back out. Follow us, we'll show you. In 2012, we got a grant from NRCS to plant the longleaf. Since then, I think we've done 2 or 3 other grants with the longleaf team. We've converted 300 acres of the 2,300 to longleaf.
You know, so many landowners in East Texas are looking at diversifying what their forests can do for them, from an income perspective, from a recreational perspective, and longleaf pine fits that bill really well.
What the Tate family has done on their land is a great example of a multi-use management plan. They have timber and grazing and recreation, and they're all compatible, and you can do all of them on one piece of property.
So early on, we saw that the longleaf was putting out a lot of grass, and we had a few cows, and that made us start thinking about grazing it. We had no idea there was anything real unique to that idea.
Grazing pine plantations isn't really common today, but it was a long time ago. Early settlers would graze the longleaf pines, and before that we had bison that would move across these areas. We don't see that today. There's species that are missing, and it's because we've changed the management of these systems. We've stopped thinking about them as wholes, and we've started compartmentalizing them. These longleafs thrive on disturbance. They're sustained by it. 2 of the most important are grazing and fire.
Prescribed burning is important for any open pine ecosystem, but for longleaf, it's absolutely required. Longleaf was the predominant pine species all along the southeast, where there's a lot of lightning strikes. That created wildfires. So longleaf evolved in a fire-dominated ecosystem.
Grazing provides similar benefits, but it takes it one step further. It brings a lot of forb diversity that we don't get typically with just fire on a landscape.
So when the cattle first come in, what is it that they're after?
Mainly the grasses, as they are grazers, but they will take bites of all of this vegetation.
So that's the great thing about longleaf pine ecosystems, is that you get this fabulous understory that is just so diverse. And then bringing the grazing back to it, you can get the bare ground that is great for your turkey and your quail.
So here's some soil. We see the darker humus color. That's from your burning, starting to help sequester some carbon. Seeing this pine heel blue stem come back, you know, this is the historical plant community. That seed source was here in the ground. Those cattle have helped bring that back by their hoof action. And we get excited when you start adding all the elements of disturbance to the ecosystem function back on the landscape.
While family time is probably our number one priority, don't think for a second that we're not watching the economics of it. The income that the cattle produce, the income that the timber produces. A lot of that's reinvested back into the land and back into whatever projects we may have going on at a certain time. A couple of things to keep in mind before you tackle something like grazing your longleaf. You know, do you have any water in the field? Do you have an adequate fence to contain the animals? How well established are the longleaf? And I think that changes from stand to stand.
East Texas landowners generally don't have the needed infrastructure to rotate cattle, to have water distribution on their land. That's a big part of what we do at the Texas Longleaf team is match landowners with partners like NRCS that can help them get the resources they need to put the infrastructure in place on their property.
Cross fencing, prescribed grazing, prescribed fire, these are all practices that can be financially assisted with if it's part of a conservation plan.
So the Tate family, they're trailblazers. They were able to go do something that they thought would work, and look, it has. And now they're gonna get to enjoy it for generations to come.
This is one of our oldest projects at the Texas Longleaf team. The Tate family really has brought their vision into reality. And it's a great example of what you can do when you have good partners, a willingness to take risks, and innovate a little along the way.
So what's the value of a turkey gobble in East Texas where there's not turkeys anymore? What's the value of a bobwhite quail whistle? What's the value of a longleaf pine plantation? That answer is going to be different for everybody, but for the Tate family, we can see it's invaluable.
For the most part, for me, it's about family time, and that's probably my #1 priority. The cattle, the longleaf, the wildlife, it all creates family time for us. Our whole family has done everything you see here together. I don't know how you thank anybody but Almighty God for the time and the resources that He's given us.